My family is getting ready to hit the road again in RV for 2 months, and we just came across this. We're talking about 26,000 lives lost in just 4 years. Guys, what I'm gonna show you, if you drive, you have to watch this and stay till the end, because the stats that I'm gonna share with you and the announcement just made by the Department of Transportation is going to floor you. We have a ginormous public safety risk. It doesn't matter if you're in a blue state or a red state. It's pervasive. It's all over the US. We are all in danger. It's made possible by a legal loophole. Like, the laws are not protecting us, and it is destroying the economy, specifically blue collar jobs.
Tell us how bad it is, and you were just telling me about the regions of the country with illegal truck drivers.
So we've really got probably about 6 different hotspots in the country right now where these guys are operating from. But because of interstate commercial driver's license, they're allowed to run all over the country. But they're primarily operating out of like the Fresno, California area. That's where like your Punjabi Indian population is based. You have the San Antonio, Brownsville, Laredo, Texas market, where all of your people from Central America and South America are operating from. You have Chicago area, that's where all of your Eastern Europeans are operating out of, so that'll be, think Serbia, think Ukraine. You have Minnesota, where there's a hotspot of Somalis, and then you have your Florida market, which is a lot of Caribbean, Haitians, Dominicans, stuff like that. And so essentially, these guys have all been allowed in the country over the last 4 years. They've flooded into the country, and they've now been giving commercial driver's licenses.
So basically, he's saying that this is everywhere, nationwide, because it's not just limited to the hubs. Remember, truckers deliver goods across state lines. So these hubs are just the beginning. This is everywhere. So I guess my question is, how are people who are not trained, who have not gone to school, who do not have the experience, how are these people getting commercial driver's licenses?
These things are called non-domiciled CDLs. They didn't exist prior to 2021 on a massive scale. They were very limited. But since 2021, they've been issuing them like candy. So there's literally, we believe there's hundreds of thousands of CDLs that have been passed out to people from these different hotspots in the country. They all come across the border illegally. They go in and apply for asylum.
And this was under Biden?
This is under Biden. They go in and apply for asylum. And immediately, once they apply for asylum, they're issued what's called an employment authorization document, or an EAD card. That's all it takes for them to go get a commercial driver's license, is a copy of this EAD card.
That's crazy.
And so right now, you know, the administration is pushing back against this because the EAD cards were not meant to be authorization to be a truck driver. But the CDL's already issued. These guys are already in trucks and they're all over the country. And that's why you're seeing so much media attention about drivers not speaking English. It's where did they come from? You know, and they've been allowed in, and so now our highways are flooded.
Wow. So all you have to do is apply for asylum, and then you apply for an EAD card, employment authorization document, and you have carte blanche to work in any industry without any training at all? I don't think so. I mean, you're not hearing about this huge influx of doctors coming in performing unauthorized brain surgeries, right? And think about this. This is not just an entry-level job. This is an 80,000-pound vehicle that's turned into a weapon if it's behind the wrong hands. So let's have the conversation about safety and what's really at stake.
So 2 questions. What does this mean for American citizen truck drivers? And what would you say the security threats are?
It's a huge national security threat. You know, at American Truckers United, we've been focused on the public safety impact. We've got several families where their families have been killed by these drivers because they couldn't read highway signs. Scott Miller's case out of Colorado is a perfect example of that.
And you've got one example locally.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
So we had a crash in Lawrence County, Arkansas in May of 2024. This was the crash of Mark Bryant. Essentially, a guy from Honduras had snuck across the border, went to work for a company out of Oklahoma with no commercial driver's license. He'd come up on a sharp curve, couldn't read the highway signs, didn't slow down, missed the curve, crossed the center line, hit Mark Bryant head on and killed him. Mark's got a family, 3 children, and when the police arrived on the scene, the guy could not speak any English. They arrest him because he doesn't have any commercial driver's license, anything. They can't communicate with him. They get him to the jail. and they call the company and request a copy of his credentials, and they email over a fake commercial driver's license from Mexico that had an issuance date of the date of the wreck, which was impossible, obviously, because he was in Arkansas. They said also that the guy still had all of the baggage and the material with him from him sneaking across the border, where he was actually living out of this truck. These guys, they're here, they're working for slave wages, they don't have any credentials, they don't have any training, no qualification, nobody knows who they are, they haven't been vetted, and they're living out of these trucks. So of course they're working for slave wages, and American truck drivers cannot compete with them.
Consider this. There are Americans that have been driving trucks for years, decades, and they're bringing us our goods, our groceries, our clothes, anything that we buy in a store came off of the back of a truck, and they're delivering this to us, right? And these guys who have been doing the right thing for decades of service are out of work because someone else is undercutting them that can't even read basic road signs. This is fair to no one, not even the individual that's illegally behind the wheel. Listen to what he said. He called them slave wages. I mean, trucking is supposed to be good money, and he's not even earning enough money to have an apartment, to have a place to live. It's not fair to the CDL drivers that actually went to school and did everything they had to be compliant with the laws. It's not fair to the companies that are trying to, hire these legal drivers. It's not fair to anyone on the road, period. Because imagine this, if you're on the highway and you just happen to be driving next to the wrong 18-wheeler, it's a death trap, and you have no way of knowing. Between 2019 and 2023, there have been 26,458 deaths due to accidents involving these larger trucks. To put it in perspective, we lost 58,000 American soldiers' lives in the Vietnam War. That war, which, was absolutely horrible for our country, lasted 20 years. So we lost 58,000 American soldiers' lives in 20 years. Whereas on the road with these large trucks, we're talking about 26,000 lives lost in just 4 years. And what's worse, it's on our home turf. It's on American soil. Okay, so a deadly accident occurs. Surely now is the time where you can get the person that shouldn't be behind the wheel of a semi and you can get them off the road, right? They literally just broke the law. Check this out.
And on top of that, what was his punishment?
Oh, this guy got off with a misdemeanor. I think he was probably in jail while they figured all this out and went to the hearing, maybe a total of 90 days.
And that's here in Arkansas, so people think this is just a blue state problem.
No, we're a deep red state.
That's unbelievable.
How much time do you think an American behind the wheel of that semi would have gotten? Yeah, I asked the question. And I gotta be real with you, this is not instilling a lot of trust in our judicial system right now. So we've learned about the risk to our safety, which is obviously the most important, public health concern. But now let's talk about the economic impact that this is having.
But also we represent the trucking companies that have all been put out of business because they can't compete with slave labor. Right now we're in a 3-year-long recession for the trucking industry, which aligns perfectly with the invasion, which is the longest freight recession the trucking industry has ever seen.
Wow.
And it's not getting better. It's intensifying each and every week. There was actually an article just put out yesterday by FreightWaves, which is our largest industry media outlet, that said to, essentially to buckle down, that it's fixing to get worse. A lot of people say, oh, well, tariffs are causing that. No, trucking was destroyed long before the tariffs because of the immigration. The entire system can sustain the impacts of the tariffs if we didn't have this glut of extra capacity in the trucking industry. And so we're asking the administration to take action and to pull this capacity out. Obviously, there's so much of it, it's a complete shock to the system.
Okay, and just real quick, before any of you guys try to argue that, oh, this is going to keep prices low, or they're doing this to keep prices low, I call BS on that. Somebody's saving money, but I tell you who's not saving money. It's certainly not middle America, because our prices are just going up and up and up. What do you guys think? Am I taking this too far? Or is this a legitimate fear? I want to hear what you think. Comment below. And more importantly, how long do you think it's going to take to clean this up? But enough about the problem. Now, what do we do? What's the solution? How do we solve it?
We need enforcement, and so what most people don't know is that your highway police and your state police have never been able to enforce immigration laws on people on the highways. And so these guys have literally been driving all over the country illegal. And when they get pulled over and get inspected, they're not even asked for their immigration status or for their immigration paperwork.
Are you kidding me? They literally just witnessed someone break the law. You would think that would be the perfect time for a law enforcement to get someone off the street.
So a little bit of enforcement starting to take place, but we need a lot more. Obviously, this is a huge problem. It's a huge problem for public safety. It's a huge problem for economics, but also for national security. You can just imagine when we talk about these different towns, these different hotspots, those are all major port cities. We believe it's a huge risk.
So to recap here, before I talk to you about this huge major announcement that the Department of Transportation just rolled out, we have a ginormous public safety risk. It doesn't matter if you're in a blue state or a red state. It's pervasive. It's all over the U.S. We are all in danger. It's made possible by a legal loophole. Like, the laws are not protecting us, and it is destroying the economy, specifically blue collar jobs. So literally just a few days ago, Sean Duffy, our transportation secretary, just came out with a few changes. There's a new restriction on non-domiciled CDLs. Non-citizens will not be eligible for a non-domiciled CDL unless they meet a stricter set of rules. It's about time. Okay, well, that's good news. We're gonna make sure that people that are behind the wheel of a semi-truck kind of know what they're doing. But what do we do about the last 5 years? In California alone, more than 25% of non-domiciled CDLs reviewed were improperly issued. And it's not like California is a major port, right? Only goods from China come in through California. I'm being sarcastic here, guys. This is terrible. So how many non-domiciled CDLs are we talking about? According to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, also known as the FMSCA, there are more than 200,000 dangerous and ill-equipped drivers all over America. And according to the FMCSA, 62,000 of those were issued in California. Texas issued 52,000. And the FMCSA finds that Colorado, Pennsylvania, South Dakota, Texas, Washington are also identified as states with licensing patterns that are not consistent with federal regulations. So according to Secretary Duffy, the states must immediately comply with the following. Number one, they have to pause the issuance of non-domiciled CDLs. Number two, they have to identify all unexpired non-domiciled CDLs that fail to comply with the FMCSA regulations. Number three, they have to revoke and reissue all non-compliant, non-domiciled CDLs if they comply with new federal requirements. They got to start over from scratch. And if the states don't comply, California has 30 days to comply, or they will lose federal highway funding. About frickin' time. Guys, American citizens, who, by the way, are having to go through all these requirements and all these safety steps and having to jump through all these extra hoops to make sure that they can perform this job safely, are just being pushed to the side for people that are not here legally and that are putting us in danger. So it's not just the economic impact, it's the safety impact. It's bad enough, the economic impact, but guys, the safety impact, and it's everywhere. So what do? How do we keep our families safe? Well, for one, the next time you're driving down the highway and you see an 18-wheeler, that confidence that I used to get thinking, oh, they're trained drivers, they know how to drive better than us. Be careful, they may not. And more importantly, help us get the word out. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel. If you want people that are gonna tell you the truth, subscribe to the channel down below. We'll see you in the next video.